when I looked at this inspiration piece, I also felt like these mountains and the scripture felt like distant memories. I also wanted to take the scripture and apply it in my own sense. I'm sure that this inspiration piece that I saw, the scripture in it kind of meant something a little bit more than the piece itself. But nonetheless, I still wanted to include scripture in it. So I took some scenes that I from my favorite animes that were very important to me. I really liked them, and I kind of created them into like you said, these little postcards to also kind of create this memory, like, oh, I've seen this before. Photoshop really helped with this because I was able to kind of like lighten up pictures and also add like blur and liquify tools to create that, like, oh, this is coming out of a memory type of feeling. I really like how this one came out. I think if there was something I were to change, it would be maybe the background, or maybe even the lowering the effect on the postcards themselves. I think I do read like memory, but I think I overdid it. But I still am pretty happy with the way this came out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, looking at this myself, I definitely got like the memory thing. It was like strands of memory being pulled out, so it also gives like a vagueness to the area that they're kind of in. Now of course, like, if you knew which anime they were from, you could probably pick it out, but like it's kind of a thing where like, oh, I've definitely seen this before kind of vibe.
I exactly was going for that feeling, and I'm so glad that like you were able to get that, because I feel like when I think about my approach, I'm always also second guessing how are people gonna, see my piece, and lately I've been trying to tell myself that it doesn't really matter, because I feel like everybody views your work so differently, and it doesn't matter what you do to achieve that. It's just the matter of doing your best to kind of communicate what you want.
I guess, why did you choose these scenes specifically?
I personally love Choso. I was a Megami fan for like the longest time, and then I saw Choso and I was like, this guy's amazing. This guy's so awesome, bro.
You were just like, all right, I'm fucking like, and then you're like, Choso. Oh.
Yeah, I got really attached to the blood manipulation, and I also really like this fight scene between him and Yuji, because they are kind of figuring out that, like, hey, this guy has the same mannerisms as me, like there's no way we could be related, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's spoiler warning for anyone who hasn't seen, but like, I guess that's kind of part of being like Blood Moon paintings, is just the fact that like Choso, being the oldest, kind of has a sense of like where his brothers are. I don't know if you've watched like the newer seasons, but like he literally explores this. Like, he can feel where his brothers are within the fight. The moment that it happens, because he's getting like a very vague sense, and he's just like, why the hell, like, one is, why the fuck is he so strong? Two, like, there's something like familiar. But then the moment where he connects it is the moment their blood coagulates, meaning to mix, because there's such a likeness, and then he can instantly tell he's one of his brothers, that he, like, that's when he has his mental breakdown. And Yuji's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Yeah, Choso's having this just like a midlife crisis, and Yuji's just like, I just want to freaking like where is Gojo, man? Like, I need to get to my boy. Like, yeah, it's just a memorable fight for me. And going on into the next two, I also just think these are just memorable scenes. Like, I got so attached to Sakamoto's his store, like his convenience store, and like everyone, all the assassins that he met just ending up working for him. And I love Sakamoto Days. It's got to be like my favorite new gen besides Dandadan, and so I'm waiting for season 3. I'm so ready, but yeah, waiting on that. And obviously the Kage, for, you know, Naruto. I think that it's just important that I include the one specifically where he is on the mountain himself.
Mhm.
It seems like he just triumphed and went through so much to be able to actually be up there. And hey, I think it's a good memory. I think it serves as a good, like, hey, this happened and it was so important.
Mhm. Do you remember on the sides there what the text that you put actually says? Because I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's probably just the title.
Yeah, it's the title of the anime. You might notice that the one on the top is a little bit different, and it's because JJK uses like a kind of different of a dialect when it comes to the name of the anime itself. So
Mhm.
if somebody can correct me in the comments, or you know, whatever, or even you can, but I'm pretty sure the top should be Mandarin and the bottom two are Japanese scripture.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then the other two are just straight Japanese.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I also wondered that, like, whenever I would watch JJK, because like the title card has both of them on there, and I was always just like, those look like a mix of characters, but I can't really tell. So it's cool for you to fully explain it.
Yeah, it's just a very complicated as well because, you know, language obviously just has many different dialects, like you know, Arabic has like the Egyptian and the Syrian, but when it comes to these dialects, they are also like so different. Like there can be a Mandarin dialect that's a little bit different from the original, and there will be another closely related one, and they are kind of the same but also different. And so I wanted to make sure it was important that I get the right one down. Hopefully I did that. I'm not an expert, but you know, we'll see.
Well, we'll just do. But yeah, I like I said from the first one, you coming into the second one, I could tell you were like getting your stride in. You were just like, "Yep, second one done. Let's move on to the fucking third." And like, I could tell you were just like enjoying the entire process.
It was nice to just try different approaches. You know, I think a lot of school projects require you to do the same thing. Oh, this feels flat, add some texture. Oh, your
Mhm.
type is too small. Oh, you need to optically measure your type. Oh, you need to pick a font that locks up well with your vectorized logo. Oh, you need to do, like, it's just, I just, for lack of a better word, I needed a break from the bullshit. I needed to just be like, hey, I don't care that this font is in a different dialect from Japanese. They don't need to be consistent. I think it still looks visually pleasing. Things like that were starting to kind of make me feel better about my work, because I forget that it's not always a competition. Design is always good design. Just matters how you present it. I mean, and also if it makes you happy, that's also what matters.
Mhm. Yeah, because part of design and just art in general is just putting across your ideas, and whether people can get it straight or not, like you said earlier, people will take whatever they want to out of it. You can just hope that a little piece of what you wanted is going with that idea.
Yeah, well, that's well said. I agree with that.
But yeah, I think the second one is great. Um, you ready for the third?
Let's do it.
So, from your third one here, called "Growth is the Journey," or you kind of titled it "Psychedelic and Inspiring." But obviously, from your inspiration, you got to this point. So, starting with your inspiration, what did you glean off of it?
I like the vibrant colors, and I just think that it is very psychedelic in its own way, because there are so many types of outlines and foreground figures at play that make you look at this a certain way every single time that you look away and then look back. And that's why I felt the very psychedelic feeling, as well as the color palette itself. I wouldn't necessarily call this color palette vibrant, but I also wouldn't call it dull. I think it's just perfect. I think it just works in its own way. And usually when I think of psychedelic art, I think that psychedelic art is usually color palettes, or made with color palettes that are typically more vibrant. But something about this felt very natural and psychedelic in its own way. Um, whether it's the way that you looked at it, whether it's, the figure in the top right kind of obscure because of the clouds. I'm guessing it's clouds. Hopefully. um, so I wanted to take that into like my own, and also like turning the positive quote from the inspiration into something of my own. When I think of psychedelics, the first thing that I think of is mushrooms, obviously. I mean, and so using, and this is also where I was like, oh, this is awesome because I can use stock photography and not have to feel freaking shame about it. Yes, I didn't shoot this photo, and yes, I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, I saw the texture on this when you submitted it, and I was just like, ooh, I really like that. Because I know there are like filters that you can use, or even like templates that you can use. I don't know if you have to pay for them or not, to get like this kind of effect where things are drawn, but then the lines will start out thin and get like really bold and then thin out again, just to do that over a whole picture. I forgot what I found it was called, but I was just like, you inspired me to then go look for it, and I was just like, this shit's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the specific terminology is radial blur, and I found it on YouTube. You'd be surprised about how many things you can find on YouTube. There's just so many people who experiment in Photoshop with different adjustment layers, whether it's like hue, saturation, blur, smart objects, rasterization, all this stuff. People come up with crazy things. And I actually did end up using this radial blur in a previous project of mine sophomore year. It was a cube based on like an art movement, and I chose surrealism as the art movement. So I had experience with creating surrealist imagery previously using filters like this. And so using the mushroom, I applied my previous knowledge mixed in with some tutorials on like radial blur and surrealist imagery to create kind of this weird effect. And the kind of talking also going, sorry, well, slow down. Talking about the yellow as well that I used. I think of yellow first thing when I think of psychedelic art. And so I also wanted to make this just pop out, and yellow just worked super well.
Yeah, I mean, yellow is a very nice contrast to like that deeper, like magenta, like purple.
Right. The texture is like it gets. I think it's a good thing that it gets a little bit lost, because the text then can pop out, amongst the the dark saturation, like you said. Yeah, I think that if there's one thing I would change about this, maybe less of the radial blur and more of the texture kind of creeping its way back in. I know that there's a way that you can mess with the texture of this photo to kind of be more blurred in the back, but more textured in the front. And I don't know if it's like a camera raw thing, but I'd be willing to try that out.
Gotcha. Yeah, because when I first received this, I was just like, okay, that's a really cool poster. I really fuck with the texture, but I was like, what's that picture in the back? But after like way far back, I was just like, oh, it's a mushroom. Okay.
I also like that too. Like, I like creating ambiguity in posters, and I think that's what's important about creating visually engaging content, is that the people that look at your projects don't have to know exactly what's going on at first. It's like that whole figure ground thing with like, the two people like with their noses and their mouth showing, or are you seeing like a cup, like a fancy cup, kind of that figure ground contrast. And overall, I think I'm happy with the way that it came out.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think this was a really nice closer to your posters that you had to do?
Yeah, like for one, I think it differed from the previous two that I created. And secondly, I think I specialize in creating kind of surrealist imagery and things that are like kind of making the audience kind of think about what they're looking at first. Um, and I think it comes from my interest in like abstract art, and not to be confused with contemporary art because I feel like people do mix them up a lot. Abstract art, in its own respect, is very your own perspective type of thing. Uh, and that in turn creates people who develop their own perspectives when they look at your stuff, and that's what I like. I I can talk about like the surrealist cube that I did and all the surreal art that I created. I think one of the sides had like a clock morphing into a bat. But I think one of my classmates mentioned that it was so morphed that they thought they didn't even read clock when they looked at it at first. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow. And I love the different perspectives, you know.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. From my perspective, just like getting these things like a couple days apart, but also being like super busy in between, and just being able to come back and see just like, okay, this was his first, this was his second, and here's his third. I could tell, like you said, you wanted to take like vastly different approaches to all these. Now, of course, you got some pretty drastically different inspiration pieces, but coming to your final posters, I can tell you actually wanted to branch out and like try different things.
I definitely did, and it kind of makes me feel like I refresh my battery. Like, okay, I tried this certain approach. Okay, now I won't get like kind of it's like it's a similar feeling to like flavor fatigue with foods. Like you try mac and cheese and you're like, okay, awesome, and then you eat it the next day and you're like, oh shit, this is getting boring. And that happens a lot in school, and so this helped me kind of refresh the palate, and try a different approach, and like that's what made me feel more excited about doing it every single or all 3 days.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if it's any consolation for me, I'm super proud of you for even like participating in it.
I appreciate you for inviting me, man. That was a fun experience, and I'd love to do it again.
Of course, yeah. I plan to absolutely keep doing this. And of course, you will be receiving an invite for the next one.
Hell yeah.
So with that being said, of course, I've had your website on all 3 of these posters, but if you want to kind of talk about your website and maybe some of the projects that you might have going on.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely do that. I can pull up my website, and I can also talk about something that I'm working on for my senior project. Well, since we're on the topic of surrealist imagery, I will talk about my cube.
The cube.
Yeah, my cube. So the prompt was for this was that our professor had a bunch of art styles listed out on the whiteboard. It was from what I remember, there was like constructivism, there was pop art, there was obviously mine, surrealism, there was futurism, there was Bauhaus. I did not want to get Bauhaus. I'm so glad I wanted to pick, or that we had the ability to pick, because holy shit, Bauhaus is just my least favorite design style.
Bauhaus, like, I did some posters based off of that style. Like, I think only in year 1, maybe like 1 in year 2. But after doing it, I was just like, I don't want to do it anymore. This is kind of boring.
Yeah, it's just the lack of visual imagery, just the Swiss design, the very flat fonts, very geometric shapes. I just got so tired of it all. So I did want to do grunge and punk. Those were my first 2, and those both got taken. And I was like, well, shit, let's try this one. And so I struggled a lot because I was trying to think about Dali and how he presents his clocks, his morphed clocks in
Mhm.
Museum of Contemporary Art and Art Institute of Chicago, and surrealism as a whole, and how uh, things don't have to make sense. It's all about pairing kind of objects that you wouldn't see together in the same place in an unorthodox way. And that's like, hey, like I love weird shit, so this is right down my alley. So a lot of this was done in Photoshop. This was actually the clock that I showed previously and that I was talking about previously. A lot of it was creating different effects, stuff that I found on YouTube. I had this like scan line effect for kind of like all of them because I needed something to unite them besides color. And also what was required was a kind of a description about the art movement, and I was like, that's boring, I'm throwing it on the back. This is the bottom of the cube. And so it was definitely a fun process to experiment with Photoshop. The files ended up being huge, insanely huge, because I ended up throwing so many filters on them. I think one thing that I would take from this is that I am so much better at manipulating imagery in photos that already exist, rather than taking my own photos. And that's not to say that I have like recently been taking photos since I got like a new DSLR, and it's been fun. But I personally don't think that it beats going on like Unsplash, finding a cool picture and like just, I guess for lack of a better term, fucking it up, like just like seeing what I can create.
Yeah, it's always a good time. Like even just taking pictures on your own is just an art form of itself. So sometimes you'll go out and be like, man, I don't know what the fuck to do.
Right, yeah. I 100%, that's how I felt. And yeah, I'm just happy with the way that this came out.
Glad to hear that, because yeah, I remember you were texting me like crazy when you were making that cube. You're just like, you like this? I was just like, yeah, it's looking great.
Yeah, a lot of like random late nights. I think like personally, I also want to talk about like how this kind of influenced me to just work harder on my projects. I think this was like my breaking point. I was like, okay, if I need to create visually interesting art, I cannot just rely on me like randomly stumbling upon some like cool approach and then like leaning on it. Like I need to sit down, I need to think about what I want to create, and I also need to think about the feeling that I'm going for. Like I need to spend more time curating my projects and not like, oh, like let's get up and let's do this project and see it as like a something that's just checked off my checklist for the day. So yeah, there's that. And I guess recently I don't have any files to show, but
right.
I guess but I'm doing a visual identity for a political skate brand that talks about social issues as well as selling skate and streetwear apparel. It's called Ajar, and the mission is to bring social awareness to a younger audience who may not be politically involved. And the other target audience are journalists or people who want a unbiased news source. I say unbiased for brand purposes, but I will say that this is definitely leaning left in terms of the types of content that you would expect to see on the website and the app. Specifically talking about issues such as like affordability, like how we can't afford to live in the houses that we already lived in prior, like 4 years ago. How we can't find jobs, how we can't find anything, healthcare, insurance, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So certain harsh issues like that, I want Ajar to be kind of like a proven point that a brand can talk about harsh issues like this and while still being a brand, because a brand's purpose shouldn't just be, oh no, this is political content, so we should avoid it because we might lose some followers. No, we want to view it as like, hey, this is a political issue and it's important, and we don't care if we lose followers, because if you stop following us, that means it just proves that your character isn't, our target audience. And if you're not, then leave. So just taking a stance, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, from the stuff that I've seen, whether it be on your story or you sending me it, this is definitely one of the projects where you've gone, at least from my perspective, like one of the where you've gone the hardest into.
And I appreciate that, and I think it's because like it's something that I want to do. I'm finally given the chance to explore something that I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm gonna do it. I did a brand. It was also my experience with brand identity as a whole. I'm not saying I didn't have experience with it, but I previously created a visual identity, but it wasn't for a brand that I really enjoyed. It was a airline brand, and I'm not too fond with airlines in terms of like visual content. I mean, who is? And it was just the luck of the draw. It was I had to pick between a airline, hygiene, or grocery store, and I got airline given to me. So unfortunately, I did not get the other two that I actually would not mind having. So there's that.
I guess from that project, kind of just, I guess, last question here. What is the significance of calling it a jar?
I want to communicate the openness to being able to talk about the political issues that are happening. And so when I think of openness between the users, the typical users of this brand, I would imagine my audience using the digital platform to discuss political events more, especially the target audience, which is like primarily Gen Z skaters. If the message is that we want to get them to talk about political issues, then we need to bring them forth, and kind of alert them to what's going on. And openness also allows for more people to come to the brand itself. So even if you're not part of our target audience, you may feel interested to engage with our content if you see us talking about it, and maybe even the level of respect that the users of this brand have in terms of like, hey, I feel this way about a certain political issue. How do you feel about it? It can encourage people who aren't necessarily part of our target audience to just be politically aware. You don't even have to buy any of our products. You don't have to read any of our articles. But if the articles or the discourse between our audience motivates you, then we've accomplished our goal.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely appreciate you for participating in this. Like we said earlier, I definitely plan to have you back. Of course, only if you're willing.
Of course I am. I would love to do that again. Well, for sure that I would love to do that again. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate talking about my creative approaches to designs.
Of course. But yeah, that's going to be all that I have really question-wise for you. I appreciate you coming to, like you just said, talk about it. And
awesome.
Of course, for the lovely audience, if you want to go check him out, HamzaSubani.com. I don't know if you can email him through there, but you can certainly look at some of his work. And of course, once he has more work done, it'll be posted there. Just stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's going to be all.
Yay.